It's 2 o'clock somewhere. Right now it's 2 o'clock in Central Daylight Time, New Orleans. So, how is everybody doing today? I am getting ready to start this video talking about mastering your boundaries. And this is part 2, and I think we're going to have 6 parts. I thought it was going to be 4, but then I remembered a couple more and I thought, this is really good stuff. How often do we get training on how to, use um, ways of being that you can set boundaries with people in kind and loving, compassionate ways so it doesn't feel like this fight or argument, or you don't feel like they were rude and so now you feel like you want to be rude. How do we do it differently? So this one is a really good part. This is part 2 again, and right now it's part 2 of 6. So master your boundaries in part 1. I had asked you to think about over this week if you would notice something in your life, such as somewhere you go where somebody aggravates you or annoys you, or you feel like they've crossed your boundaries, and what that might look like. Is it someone that maybe drives you a little bit crazy by interrupting you or coming into your personal space, like, why are you in here kind of thing? It might be that someone's imposing their needs on you, right? And that's very frustrating. You may have an older or maybe a child or whatever that doesn't live with you who's like, you need to call me every week, or you need to call me when you get there. And it just may feel too much of what they need or want, and it's not really not right for you. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Or it could be the way that someone speaks to you. They may use a nasty tone. They may be dismissive. And you may be feeling like, I really wish they wouldn't talk to me like that. It's so frustrating, right? So why are those feelings coming up? Maybe they've crossed a boundary, and you may be needing to set one with them. But we don't set boundaries by telling people what to do, okay? So today we're going to talk about something that I find very, very interesting, which is Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication. I'm seeing this clearly, and I hope you are too. I hope it's not backwards. Let me put this and show this right now. So Marshall Rosenberg, he is a PhD, and he is very well known all over the world for his work in nonviolent communication. Nonviolent meaning nonviolent verbally, right? So we speak to each other in ways sometimes that come across as hostile, ugly, rude, and they create that angst with the other person. And so he came up with a huge body of work. And he is very, very well known. I don't know if you know him. Some people do and some people don't. But he did the work for like 40 years. He has since passed away. He has the praise of people like Tony Robbins, Marianne Williamson, Jack Canfield, Deepak Chopra. Oh my gosh, who else? I don't know. Just a whole bunch of people, right? Okay, so you can get his book anywhere, but as you can see, I've put a link. I don't know if you can copy paste it. This is StreamYard that I'm using, and to be honest with you, I have been using it for several weeks, but I come on, I use it, and I get off, and I haven't been exploring it. So you can just Google it or put it in Amazon, nonviolent communication. I think if you even type in MAR, he will pop up. Okay, so let's get with it. Just a note that if you also like the audio version, they have that. Okay, today I'm going to be pretty much focused on chapters 3 through 6. I hope to keep this fairly short, as in under 30 minutes. Chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the main 4 steps of nonviolent communication. These are, I'm going to shorten it, observation, feelings, needs, and requests. Okay, so every now and again, though, I do have like a nonviolent communication, or I will say NVC for nonviolent communication, an NVC book study. Sometimes I have a 6-week, like I think in the fall, I'm going to be doing a 6-week NVC practice sessions, like a boot camp, like scenarios, and you get together with other people, and we're like, yeah, there's a scenario, and you figure out what you would do, and you small group, and then you come out and everybody talks about it. It's really pretty interesting what happens during that time, because what you would never have thought of, someone else did, and you're like, oh my God, that's genius, right? So it's really, really a lot of fun. It's really great. And if you are interested, if you're on my mailing list, you'll get an email at some point saying that that's now available, either the boot camp or the book study. If you're not, get with me somehow, even if you just leave your name, a hashtag or something, to let me know that you want to be on my mailing list. Also, if you are watching this live, please hashtag live it. If it is a replay, please hashtag replay, so I know what's going on and we can work with you that way. Okay, so to get back to the 4 steps, observation, feeling, needs, and requests. And I am just covering these 4 because, like I said, it's the main crux, but reading the entire book, which I've read like 4 or 5, maybe 6 times, it's like it peels back another layer every time I read it. It's a fascinating, fascinating read if communicating compassionately is something you would like to do. So let me go over what the 4 steps are. So the first one is observation. And observation is being able to communicate something to another person that you observed about what they did, but without any emotional judgment about it. So it's not like, I can't believe you put that on the table, because that's very emotional. It sounds accusatory. But another way of saying it might be, I noticed that you put that on the table, right? Kind of even. So it's just kind of an observation of what happened versus your emotional attachment to what happened. Number 2 is feelings. Feelings are interesting, okay? So feelings, of course, is to share what you're feeling. But in our way of life, maybe our culture, our society, I'm not really sure why it is. And it could be our instant society where we just kind of like try to shrink everything down to the smallest possible thing. If you think about texting, you know, IOW, LOL, I mean, all the shortened versions, so we don't have to type so much. But sometimes things lose itself in the translation. So we've kind of gone, I'm mad, I'm bad, I'm glad, I'm sad. And those 4 rhyming words don't really describe what we're feeling. There's just a whole range. And if you are interested in like a wheel that shows all these different emotions and feelings and what the extensions of those might be, you know, not just mad, I mean, infuriated, or I'm irate, right? Not just glad, maybe I'm elated, I'm just joyous. So it just helps us figure out a better word. And something very interesting happens when you are upset, and you find the right word. When your brain lands on what that word is, there's like a warm fuzzy that goes through you, like, oh my God, that's the right word. That's the right word. And it's like it really identifies. So it's really important to have a broader vocabulary for feeling words. Okay, so observation, observe without judgment. Feelings, accurate feelings, not generalized, right? And then needs is number 3. Needs are understanding that every human being on the face of the earth has needs. In fact, there are universal needs. Some people have other needs, but there are universal needs, which we all know the physical needs, and I'm not going to go into all the different types, but physical needs would be food, shelter, water, air, whatever, warmth. I'm talking about your emotional needs for maybe physical safety, respect, being autonomous or creative, having the ability to express yourself in a way that it's a need that you have. Someone else might not have that need. So we're not going to go into all of that in this video, but what I want you to know is when our needs true, genuine, the universal needs, and I'm talking about the emotional ones, of course, when our needs are not getting met, we experience upset. And so that's what this is. So we are wanting to learn, how do I communicate a need that I have to another person? Because when our humanity can reach their humanity, we have a much better possibility of them wanting to work with us, because they would understand. Like, let's just say physical safety. I think most people really do understand what physical safety means, and we would like to be safe physically. And there's an emotional component that is attached to that. If I can't, I feel scared, I feel anxious, I feel upset, right? Okay. I'm not going to go any further in that. We're going to go on to the fourth one, and that is observation, right? And so requests. So observation is the first one, feelings, needs, and requests. And of course, a request, I would say, for optimal results, it's best to first share, I'm observing, I feel, I need, and then would you please, or is it possible, or can you, and then we ask a question. Sometimes we don't need to get to that one. Sometimes you say, like, I'm observing that you're coming in my space all the time, say my room or whatever. I feel really uncomfortable when that happens. I need physical safety or privacy or whatever. That person, the other person may go, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize, maybe a roommate situation or something. Oh, I didn't even realize, I won't do that. So you didn't even need to make the request because they got it, but you said it in a way that you were not attacking them. That's the critical part. We're not attacking, therefore the communication is more kind, loving, and compassionate. All right. So we're going to do a mom-child example and go through the 4 steps, just so most people can relate to this, because either you are a child, you were a child, you have a child, or like I said, you were a child, right? So here's an example. A mom comes home from work. She's tired, she's got a headache, she's hungry, she just wants quiet for the moment, just for a moment. She gets there and the 7-year-old child's jumping on the sofa and making all kinds of noise. What usually happens, right? So there's some moms that just like, oh, could you just please go in the other room? And the other moms are like, what are you doing? Stop it. And they're yelling. Neither one of those is very beneficial, because there's a lack of information that, had the information been spoken, may have a much, much better response. So let me share what I mean. If you use nonviolent communication, or NVC, and the 4 steps, it would go something like this. Observation. I'm noticing you're jumping on the sofa and being really loud. It's not really judgment, it's kind of stating some facts, right? Number 2, what is she feeling? Like, I had a really hard day at work today, and I feel tired and hungry, and I have a headache. So I'm sharing some of what's going on with me, right? Or the mom is sharing some of what's going on with her. And the kid, I mean, unless they're like a 2-year-old, but I mean, if they're like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know why a 10-year-old's jumping on the sofa, but if they're in that age, they're going to understand some of those things. We've all been tired, hungry, right? May or may not have had a headache, but still they get, mom's not feeling right. Mom's not feeling good. And then the third one is, what do I need? Well, for right now, I need some quiet so my headache could go away. And then the request, the kid may be still standing there not knowing what's expected. And the request could be something like, could you please stop jumping on the sofa and maybe go play quietly in your room for a little bit? I would really appreciate that. So to put that all together, the mom comes in, kids jump, and she's like, I noticed that you're jumping on the sofa. She might even say again. And you're really, really being a little bit loud. I'm noticing a lot of loud noises. I have a headache. I really, really need some quiet downtime. Would you please go do this thing? Now, the child's going to have a choice to say yes or no. And there's a whole bunch that goes with that. But more often than not, when it's explained in a way where the mom's not mad at the kid, but they've got a situation going on, a lot of times that child will say, oh, okay, hope you feel better, mommy, or whatever, and they leave. Obviously, that's the perfect situation. The perfect situation doesn't always happen. So what do? Right? There's the reason for reading the book. But I want to share with you what I'm hoping that you get is that we have learned ways to communicate because of how we may have been communicated to. So if we got yelled at, we have a tendency to yell. We may not even like that we do it, but we just maybe don't know another way. What's happening with this bit of work is teaching you that we don't know everything. There's a whole emotional world, if you will, that we dabble in all around the edges. Oh, I know how I feel. I know that makes me angry. I know that that's okay. Or I don't know why so-and-so gets mad about that. And we have judgments about it, but we don't necessarily know what to do with our emotions when somebody has upset them. And so nonviolent communication is a fabulous, fabulous tool for helping, especially parents, but also at work. This body of work is for, oh my gosh, he's stopped wars from happening by using this 4-step method in a more intricate way. So it's a phenomenal body of work. So to go over those 4 again, I'll put them up here. Number 1 is, what are you observing in a non-judgmental, non-critical way? Just this is what I see. Number 2, what are you feeling? What is a word? Not mad, sad, glad, bad, but really like I'm feeling hungry, I'm feeling tired, and I feel sad, or I feel, we can come up with the words about what we're feeling. I know some of those weren't actual feelings. Number 3, what are you needing? I need quiet. I need, financial security. I need whatever the thing is, respect, to be able to trust you, or whatever the word is. What is it the need? What is it that the need is? And number 4, what are you requesting? And that often comes in a form of a question, obviously, because it's a request. But again, it goes a little bit further. If they actually accept it, or if they don't accept it, then what do you do? But a lot of times people do accept it because you've come from a different place. So it's not magic, but it is really great work. And it is something anybody that wants to do it can learn to do. All right. So that's it for today for the most part. I did pretty good, only 18 minutes so far. During this week, because next week I'm going to be talking about 2 of the 6 different types of boundaries. There's 6 different types of boundaries, technically 7, but 2 of them we put together. And what is it? What do you do when somebody's violating or challenging your boundaries? And this actually happens more than we know. We have a tendency like, oh, that guy just drives me crazy, or geez, every time that lady comes around me, I'm just so aggravated. More often than not, if we grew up in a family that didn't honor boundaries or didn't think they needed to have boundaries, we don't know that that's the problem, and that's what's upsetting, and that's why we feel the way that we do. So next week will be 2 boundaries. We'll go over those, then 2 more and 2 more. And I'm just, and then why don't we set boundaries, like the different things. So it's just really good next few weeks through the month of May is going to be all about boundaries. And I'm excited to share them with you. So let's see if for the next week, if you can be thinking about, or I invite you to think about, what might stop or block you from setting boundaries, and what feelings come up for you. Like I said, not just angry, but like dig deeper. What feelings come up for you when someone's crossing or challenging or violating your boundaries? All right. I hope you guys join me next week. Remember, live is #live, #replay if you're watching the replay, and I will see you next week. This is Debbie Pearson. Oh, I forgot what I changed it to. Helping you master yourself and your emotions. And I think that was it. Helping you master yourself and your emotions. I'm going to write that down. All right, you guys, have a great week. See you next time. Tuesday at 2 Central Time. Bye.